Netflix expansion proposal presented by Alejandra, Yesenia, Abril, Kimberly, Alyssa, and Caesar. Background information. Netflix is an American subscription plan which contains movies, shows, documentaries, and so much more. It was first established by Mark Randolph and Reed Hastings in 1997 in Scotts Valley, California. Randolph and Hastings wanted to make a stream of shows that didn't require cable and came into the idea of what is created now as Netflix. It first started as a rent-by-mail service. Rentals were about $4 each, and when done using, they were mailed back. The Netflix website was launched on April 14, 1998. Then, in 2010, Netflix became international. As of today, its current headquarters are located in Los Gatos, California. Netflix mission statement states, "At Netflix, we want to entertain the world, whatever your taste, and no matter where you live, we give you the access to the best in-class TV series, documentaries, feature films, and mobile games. Our members control what they want to watch, when they want it, with no ads, in one simple subscription."
Why China? We decided that it would be a great business move for Netflix to expand into China due to the ever increasing box office success that they have had. As of last year, China surpassed North America with a profit of $7.4 billion. So, as a business standpoint and financially, it would be great for Netflix to try and get a piece of that profit for themselves as well. Also, with the population that China has, 1.4 billion people estimated, that is a great pool for getting new subscribers, especially as in recent years that Netflix has struggled with keeping the current subscribers they have. When Netflix first started out, they were the go-to for streaming movies because of the accessibility and ease for people. It was a hit. They were able to beat out Blockbuster and essentially make them non-existent because of all the content that they provided at the simple click of a button and in the convenience of one's home. But over the recent years, many companies have decided to take part in that and create their own streaming services, such as Hulu, Paramount Plus, Peacock, and another big one, Disney Plus. So as the years have gone by, Netflix has lost a lot of content because these streamers are keeping their programs to their own individual streaming services, which has pushed Netflix to create more original content, such as Netflix Originals, with big movies and big shows, such as House of Cards. Recently, The Witcher is a popular one. So, and a big movie they recently had was Red Notice with actors Gal Gadot, Dwayne Johnson, and Ryan Reynolds. So with that, Netflix has also been increasing their prices slowly to have the capital to make the original content and then pay for the production and the actors, and especially actors with that kind of clout, they definitely have higher salaries. So Netflix has had to make up the difference in other areas, which has caused users to slowly drop off if it's not content they're interested in, as well as Netflix has been cracking down on password sharing, so they haven't been able to keep the users that they used to have. So it is imperative for Netflix to secure more users, and China is definitely a great place to start. Now, with expanding, there's always potential problems that a company can encounter, especially in a place such as China, because their rules and regulations are very conservative. So they do have certain rules and regulations that would, in a sense, interfere with Netflix's ever growing content. Some of the stuff is not allowed in China, so we would have to be sure that anything we were to try and get approval for is something that they're okay with, because we also want to make sure that we have enough content to provide to potential Netflix users in China. It would be a great decision financially, but we also want to make sure that whatever we do have to provide is something that will be allowed, because China isn't, they don't have necessarily certain committees. It's just they decide what is allowed and what's not. We can't say, well, we think this will work well for viewers, but it's a different culture as well. If they consider it inappropriate, it can be banned. Such as a major movie, The Joker was banned. A couple Marvel's movies have issues with China. Just certain movies that we think are perfect will essentially not be allowed. So it is something to take into consideration when opting to expand to China, that it won't necessarily be easy. There will be measures that will need to be taken into consideration and put in place to be sure that any content that we make available to users in China is definitely pre-approved, and to not run into issues in the future or then ban Netflix completely. So that is definitely something that will be very important to do.
Moving on with the risk associated with the Netflix expansion into China. So, if Netflix were to expand into China, they would have to come up with different pricing structures. This is because currently the main payment gateways are Alipay and WeChat Pay. These payment gateways are owned by Alibaba and Tencent, which are Netflix's biggest competitors in China. Essentially, Netflix would have to pay a great portion of their revenue to its biggest competitors. Moreover, the currency headwinds in China would hurt Netflix revenue. This is because the US dollar is equivalent to about 7 Chinese yuan. This is not good for Netflix because China's currency would shave about 4 to 6% from Netflix overall revenue growth. Another issue Netflix would face is convincing and converting China's users to pay for a Netflix subscription. China's users get their streaming services / content for free using iQIYI. This streaming service is often referred as the Netflix of China. So, obviously, the Chinese users are not going to prefer to pay $7, which is equivalent to more than 50 yuan for a service that they can get for free. The streaming services of iQIYI and Youku Tudou each have over 50 million active users, but have only managed to convert about 1% into regular subscribers.
Plan of action to ensure that everything would run smoothly with the expansion of Netflix into China. We would definitely have to have a team to do have a deep understanding and investigate what would be needed and allowed for users in China. While rules are ever changing, it's important to keep up with anything that they may implement as a new rule or certain new content they wouldn't allow, because if anything were to go wrong, China would pull the plug on Netflix, which definitely wouldn't be beneficial. It would be a big hit to Netflix if they suddenly had expanded and then were not able to provide services anymore. So as Netflix does have many different countries that they're in, there would definitely have to be a focus, and until Netflix is more comfortable with what is allowed and what can be shown in China, it would be important to have a certain team dedicated to just what is available, what's being provided, keep up with the day-to-day stuff for China. And definitely it would be important to emphasize to China that it be mutually beneficial for both parties to have Netflix available, especially with issues of COVID. When they have content available at home, it keeps more people at home, less interaction outside. So definitely there are benefits to having streaming services as big as Netflix. For them, it would make more availability for people to be at home and have a little bit more to do and not go so stir crazy. So there are benefits for both parties, but it is important to keep the success of Netflix in China and emphasize that we do care and we are not trying to provide content that they're not allowing. So while there's many other things that we would have to take into consideration, the most important focus when entering the market would be the content that we provide at the beginning, and as more movies and television shows come out, that they are acceptable, and that way we can keep a good business relationship with China.
Netflix, as you may know, is one of the most popular subscription services that offers you a great deal of movies and TV shows at a very low cost. Almost anyone you ask will say, yes, I have a Netflix account. Netflix has such a great audience that it can be found with more than 200 million subscribers globally. You can say that Netflix has reached a great number of people around the world, but the irony of this all is that although they have reached a wide variety of audiences, they have yet still to collaborate with China. Within the last 5 years of the online streaming, company has had a great wave of grasping new audience in over 200 countries, as mentioned earlier. With headquarters in Los Gatos, California, Netflix originally started in the US. However, with its popularity, it has changed the game of how people choose to watch and where they choose to watch their favorite movie or show. Netflix uses certain algorithms to help customers choose what they want to watch next. Meaning they go by your preference and they see what you like and then they suggest certain other shows that they also think you might like. Plenty of people enjoy these personalized options and it keeps them as an active member all year long. Netflix's current global operation is successful due to the fact that they can adapt easily, especially with languages, personalization, and even providing people with their own sitcoms or movies. Netflix currently gains many of its new audience in over 200 countries worldwide. In fact, 223 million paid subscribers came in globally within the last quarter of 2022. Some of Netflix's current major global operations have expanded to Canada, Latin America, and Europe. With this in mind, it begs the question why customers are so loyal from across the globe. Netflix pays a lot of attention to detail on how they decide to market themselves to specific countries. Little details go into everything that this company has to offer, including things such as the thumbnails from which the countries their subscribers are from. Netflix also has a great adaptation skills, such as adapting languages and shows that people like. Netflix has over 62 languages available for customers to choose from, so that way no one is left out. Current global operations continued. So this chart basically shows how Netflix makes their money. As of 2022, Netflix has 8.3 million of revenue coming in from customers globally. The great part about operating globally is that 53% come from outside of the US. So that's a little bit more than half. The important partnerships come from domestic and international streaming services, which make these partnerships more successful and help them gain more revenue and subscribers every single year. As you can see, from 2018 to 2022, expansion has grew quite a bit with international streaming services. Although 2022 has been quite a loss of what they were expected to gain this year, China would be a great help to adding more revenue to the company and helping them prosper.
Our expansion strategy. So, we thought that the best way to enter the Chinese market was through a customized global strategy. So, the way that we would do that is through producing local content. So, we could take everything that Netflix already has, all the current content, and convert it into the Chinese language. We could also spread and start local content by combining forces with different content creators. Which brings me to my next point, joining local content developers or entertainment industry players. So, an example would be Baidu or Alibaba, which are already very popular in China. So, since they're already popular and well known, they obviously have an excellent online presence along with notable customer awareness. Baidu, being an American Chinese company, is an advantage for Netflix because it gives them the opportunity to work together long term. Our entry strategy after this would all be implemented would be to target markets with a developed infrastructure and high consumption rates. Something else that we could look for is low unemployment. So Beijing would be a good option for that. Our previous expansion strategies. So the first expansion strategy was obviously global expansion. So they made sure to do that slowly and securely by choosing locations in which to emerge. So they didn't just go at it all quickly. They took their time. They did their deep research. So when during their first international expansion, when they expanded to Canada, they were able to penetrate that market and do well in it because it had a very similar market as the US. So they mimicked a lot of marketing strategies and everything that they did to promote Netflix in the US as they did in Canada. So that's why they were able to thrive and do good. 3 is speedy and large scale international expansion plan. So after they slowly expanded globally, they chose to expand on a big scale or on an international expansion scale, and they strategically put together the biggest lessons learned from the first two steps and brought Netflix to over 190 countries.